Welcome to the OC20, a love letter to the OC in celebration of its 20th anniversary. We're your hosts, Michelle and Seth, and if you're just tuning in, we highly recommend you start with our intro episode and then continue on your listen. Anyway.
Who are we talking about now? Luke?
You were going to talk about Luke.
Luke.
Do you need your notes on Luke?
Luke is my favorite.
Oh, he's your favorite.
No, Jimmy is still my favorite. He's a criminal who doesn't have, like, the backup. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
I do.
Walter White is a criminal.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to kill you.
Tony Soprano.
Jimmy's like, I stole everyone's money. I don't know what to do.
I'm a lovable idiot.
And Sandy's like, well, you do X, Y, and Z. And Jimmy's like, come on, lose the house. It's like, Jimmy, you're such an idiot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just think Jimmy's really funny.
We're going to talk about Luke Ward, portrayed by Chris Carmack. I think Luke might have the biggest arc of this season 1.
I agree.
Yeah. I love Luke. I love how he evolves, but I want to know why you chose Luke.
Luke has like the biggest arc, but it's like multiple arcs in one season.
Yeah.
That range, the range of events that Luke goes through in one season, it's absurd and not in a bad way. This show is moving. It's moving. It doesn't care.
So fast.
Yeah. And one thing that I hate in TV shows is when a storyline is just dragged out. It's like, we're still doing this. So I was relieved to see Luke's multiple personalities throughout the first season.
Mm-hmm.
Luke gets shot.
Well, wait. Let's start from the beginning of when we first meet Luke.
Okay.
We first meet Luke and he's in that pickup truck.
Luke is very one note.
Yeah.
You know who Luke is as soon as you see him.
Yeah.
Luke is a walking stereotype.
Yes.
Right? His famous line in the first episode, it's like, this is the best comeback that a dummy could summon. You
Welcome
know
to the OC, bitch.
Right, exactly.
This is how it's done in Orange County.
Right. It's not bad writing. It's Luke being not a smart person.
It's Luke being Luke.
Right. So Luke starts out very one note. And when I first started watching the show, I was like, okay, I know who this guy is. And I kind of was like, how long until we can not pay attention to him anymore? I know that Ryan and Marissa are going to be kind of circling the drain of love, and Luke probably won't be that much, but I'm sure he's going to be like an antagonist to Ryan for the whole first season, right? And that will be what the story is. Dead wrong. I already said it earlier in another episode, but in episode 2, which is another movie similarity to Rebel Without a Cause, the majority of Rebel Without a Cause is the 3 main characters in an abandoned house, right? And so in episode 2, we have Ryan, Seth, and Marissa spending a lot of time in the abandoned house. Anyway,
The model home,
yeah. Right. Anyway, when Luke, first when he goes back to save Ryan, that shocked me. That really surprised me.
Because you're like, oh, you're not evil.
Well, you're not evil, but why are you doing this?
Because he's not evil. He doesn't want the kid to die. He thinks he wants the kid to die.
He thinks he wants to,
but he doesn't. When faced with the truth, no.
Because, I mean, you get... when you have 2 characters fighting with fire around them, generally, in film or in stories, that is a fight to the death.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Everything around us is burning and falling down, but we're so locked in on each other that this is, look, I'm fighting with somebody and a fire breaks out over here. I'm like stopping. I'm like, okay, wait, hold on. Let's get out of here. We'll resume this fight later. No. So for him to go back and save Ryan, that was pretty shocking. Then later in the episode, for him to fess up to being there, that that was one of the first moments where I was like, this is a very different show than what I thought that it was.
And this character is layered.
And Luke is very different. And the writers are willing to sacrifice that. Hey, we have a season of story here with Ryan and Luke, fighting over Marissa. They're willing to sacrifice all of that. One of the things I loved about Breaking Bad was they would put their characters in situations that you couldn't get out of, and then their characters wouldn't get out of those situations. Sometimes they'd be smart and they'd figure a way out.
Right.
But sometimes you get put into something and it's like, no, there is no way out. And now here are the repercussions. And with Luke, that happens over and over and over again. And his character, I wonder if they didn't quite know what to do with him.
I don't know. I feel like it's too well written for what we did with him.
I just want to okay. Thinking about Luke in the fire to Luke with his dad to Luke at the Rooney concert. And you pick those 3 scenes, which are very strong, right? Who's the actor?
Chris Carmack.
Chris Carmack. My hat is off to you, good sir.
Yeah.
They're just so, it's wildly different.
Yeah.
But you do get the sense that Luke is breaking out of the person and the personality that he has kind of been putting on, that he's been, at one point Marissa says, I wish that I didn't have to do what my friends like or whatever like that. And so when Luke goes from being the antagonist to being part of the group, and now he's like the 5th out of the 4, that was really wild to me.
Yeah.
And it felt like a season 2 plot.
Yeah.
Like, oh, now Luke's a good guy this season? Wow, okay.
If it was made today, it would have been.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was made by anyone who is perhaps like less daring.
Yeah.
But it's a big it's a big shift for a character we've only known for a few episodes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Luke.
For me, when you see Luke and he rescues Ryan and he goes back in the model home, but it's really in episode 12, The Secret, when we find out about Luke's dad.
Yes.
And he's having a relationship with his partner at work. But we see Ryan have to work with him on a school project, and he goes home. And so we see Luke's home life. And so we see his mom and his 2 brothers. They're in his bedroom, and they're like, okay, do you want to take one part and I'll take this part? And you see Luke's just a regular teenager.
Yeah.
And then him and Ryan bond over a car because his dad owns a dealership. Mm-hmm. And then we see his dad having the affair with another guy. It's
a really strange plot to be watching in 2023.
Yeah, because in 2003, this was wild.
Right. And so Luke's father is gay. He has not come out yet. He's having this affair. Ryan and Luke, they see it and they just instantly know, like, okay, we're not talking about this. Ryan, throughout this whole series, is constantly earning people's trust, and then it gets taken away from him for no fault of his own. Luke thinks that Ryan is the one who told. Meanwhile, it was, gossiping in the locker room among the ladies. And Luke's whole life is, now it's Luke's turn for his whole life to be thrown into upheaval. What Marissa's been going through, what Ryan's been going through. Ryan's mom abandons him in the first episode. And I actually looked up the political demographics of Orange County because I wanted to see would this actually be a big deal? And yes, historically they voted down gay marriage. Mm-hmm. And we don't need to go into all that, but I did actually look into would this have been that big of a deal? And I think it would have, especially 20 years ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. When Luke becomes part of the group in the third wheel.
Yeah.
His tires get slashed.
Yes.
And this is truly when he becomes the golden retriever of the group. And even before that, not to backtrack on my words, but I love the friendship of Ryan and Luke gets assaulted on the baseball field.
Yes.
And they both throw punches at the same time.
It's
pretty amazing.
It's pretty great.
It's so you get chills and you're like, these two are working together.
Yes, because I lost count of how many times Ryan punches Luke or Luke punches Ryan. It's so silly over the first few episodes, just how often it's happening.
Yeah.
And so when they throw punches together, it's like, it's chill inducing. It's shot really well. It cuts at a good point. It's very, very well done. And it's the type of setup that has a good payoff that it feels very earned. You know what I mean? We love good setups.
Yes, of course.
And this felt like, you know, if you know anything about these two characters, they're throwing punches.
Correct.
But now it's together. It's great. It's
and
really,
to go
really good.
from enemies, especially with these two, to Luke being the only one who believes Ryan with the whole Oliver situation.
Yes. And I love that.
He's the only one.
Because Luke, who is big and strong, is now in this arena that he's not used to being in, which is like covert operations.
Yes.
And like mental manipulations. And it's very interesting to see him take a sidekick role to Ryan's, like, you know, Sherlock Holmes kind of a thing in everything that he's doing and investigating that. It's really cool. When Luke plays the guitar.
The backstage of the Rooney concert?
When Luke grabs the guitar and starts singing, I was like, this might be the funniest thing in this show.
Yeah. He's singing his heart out.
He really is. And, you know, when a goofy guy is goofy, or when a goofy guy makes you laugh, it's like, okay. But when the non-goofy guy makes you laugh, it's much funnier. And there's like almost like, it's almost like you tear up a little bit because you see this character that was so locked up now feeling free enough and like happy enough. And like, he's so like exuberant in that moment that you're like, oh my God, this is like the greatest thing I've ever seen.
What with that scene with Luke, like singing his heart out, what I love is that you have Seth and Anna and Summer and Oliver all looking at him, and even Oliver's just like, all right, dude, you know, and for to have that split second of Oliver do it, it was pretty great.
Yeah. It's really, it's the same rush of joy that you get from Napoleon Dynamite dancing at the end.
Yes.
Where if it was anyone else dancing, you'd be like, okay, you're a dancer. But when he does it, you're like, I love this so much.
I love it. And not to stay on the Rooney episode, but to just have Luke jumping up and down and screaming,
yes,
shake it, and hooray!
Yes.
And Seth is just like, oh my God.
Yes. It's great. It's really great. Yeah. And your heart goes out to him. Like, I think that it was an interesting choice to have him do that, but ultimately one that pays off because you're won over by him more in the episode. And then because we're more endeared to him, we're willing to accept him more in the next few episodes.
Well, with that being said, do you accept him and Julie getting together? I was so excited for you to watch this. Do you know that I forgot
about that because we were talking about the good parts of Luke? I literally was thinking like, okay, what was my closing thought with Luke? I blocked out him and Julie.
This is a huge part of season 1. Gosh. Luke and Julie getting together. Marissa's ex-boyfriend and her mother.
I was shocked. Really shocked. Really, really shocked. It might be the most outlandish that the show gets.
Yeah.
In the first season, it feels very soap opera-y.
Yeah.
It feels... I hated it. I mean, I didn't hate it like, oh, this shouldn't have happened, but I was just like, Luke, stop. It's Luke versus Caleb Nickel.
Who Caleb just wants booty calls.
Caleb is the worst.
I know.
He is the worst. It's horrible. And then that Luke is so like heartbroken
Yeah.
And it's like, where did you think that this was going?
Well, you're a teenager.
Do you think that this is... And they make a point of saying that he's 18.
They had to do that.
Right. But
so it's legal.
But also by doing that in the same season, he was hooking up with freshmen. So
right.
It's a double-edged sword, and they chose to go on the side of Julie.
Yeah.
So not good. Mm-hmm. It's horrible. I have no words. I was screaming. I was watching this on my couch, and I was just like, no! And I texted you, just like, no!
All the gifts coming through. And I'm just like,
yeah, oh gosh, not great.
Not great. But so sad for him truly to feel that it can't continue.
Right.
And so he gets drunk and gets into the accident.
Yep.
And I love, his scene when he's in the hospital and he has that sweet moment with Marissa.
Yep.
And Ryan.
Yep. And, there's Marissa. Whenever Luke's in the hospital.
That's right.
She's going to be there.
She's going to be there. There's a great moment with Jimmy and Luke. So when Luke is, trying to make amends with Marissa, and Marissa wants nothing to do with him, and this is when Jimmy has moved out, and he shows up to the apartment, and Luke is like, is Marissa home? Can I talk to her? And Jimmy's like, no. And he's like, come on, Mr. Cooper. And Jimmy's like, don't go there, and closes the door. I love that moment. I love Luke for trying, but I love Jimmy being like a really good father in that moment.
Sure.
Yeah.
He maybe wouldn't be if he knew what was coming. Right. Luke, to me, like Ryan and Luke's stories, they're not quite parallels, but they're like twin snakes, okay?
Yeah.
They're revolving around each other. They're because of each other so much. And had you told me at the beginning of this season that both of them would end up leaving town, never would have. I never saw that coming. Never would have seen that coming.
I never thought of it that way.
I'm curious. Right. Like Luke is the OC boy.
Yeah.
Seth is not. Mm-hmm. Ryan is not. Mm-hmm. Luke is. Mm-hmm. Even he loses his place in this. Mm-hmm. I think I texted you last night. To me, like the show, it's almost like a microcosm of like a gladiator arena where different people go in with their different strengths and their different motivations. And there's winners and there's losers. It's like Game of Thrones for teen shows.
Yeah.
And there's this like nameless, faceless entity, which is the OC. It's like the Twilight Zone. Like what is the Twilight Zone? We don't know, but it's this arena in which strange things happen. Okay. Mm-hmm. That's what the OC is like to me. And for Luke to end up on the losing side of things, never would have seen that coming. Yeah. So I'm very curious, and obviously you can't tell me, I'm very curious to see if he comes back, because his storyline, it ends pretty final, like with his dad leaving and they're going to be starting over. That seems pretty final. And again, like how cool is it that Luke now has to experience what Ryan went through at the beginning? And so you could have a spin-off show called The Portland, which is about Luke coming to town. And he even says that, right?
Yeah. He does.
Yeah. So it's cool. It's good writing. It's good writing.
I have to make note of when I was going through your notes, and some of your last sentences for a lot of the characters you chose were just like, this is good writing. I was like, it is good writing.
Yes.
And again, that makes me real happy.
Yeah. I mean,
for a teen show, right?
No.
Well, I have to say that too, because in the niche of it.
Yeah, but I would pit these storylines. The content will always be looked down on. Mm-hmm. One, because it's television. Yeah. Right. Television writing is not held in as high esteem as film writing or book writing.
I think that's changed, though.
That has changed television, in the 20 years.
Yes.
Sopranos obviously helped a lot with that. Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Television is not what it was in 2003. But it's still writing 40-minute episodes of serialized drama. I think that this will always be looked down on. But I would the build-ups, the payoffs, the character arcs, they're just as good as anything else. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
I just say my view of this show is not it's good for a teen drama in 2003. I think it's just good. I think it's good. It's good writing.
It's like I hooked another.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
I love that.
What did you think when Luke got shot?
Oh, Mike. I was like, of course.
Yeah, it does feel a little bit like
Here's
that.
Donnie.
Yeah.
Life is what you make it.
Okay. I have no idea what that is. Okay.
Like, you don't remember that line?
Oh, no. I remember the line. I remember Donnie. Okay. Donnie, you knew that Donnie was evil when he insisted on fist bumping all the time.
Really? I love fist bumping.
Well,
am I evil?
No, but Donnie does it maybe differently than you do.
He's from Corona.
But like he's insistent on it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like everybody fist bumps.
Right.
Fist bumping is fine.
Yeah.
Donnie is evil when he shows the gun and says, "Life is what you make it." It's great.
It's so good.
It's great. And
yeah.
And you know what? You know why it's great is because it feels real.
Yeah.
Like you would like if no one was writing your words for you and you were drunk at a party and you had a gun just showing someone, maybe you would come out with something dumb like life is what you make it.
Life is what you make it.
Yeah, sure. I might get a tattoo
You should.
that says life is what you make it with a gun.
Can you put like dash Donnie?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe the gun will have Donnie written on the handle.
That's
or something.
good.
Yeah.
You should.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. When Luke got shot. And I honestly, like, of course I remember it, but it's something that happened so early on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you're like, wow, we're shooting already?
Yes. I felt the
We're
same way.
here already?
I felt the same way because so many shows have the gun episode or the shooting episode.
Yeah.
And I was like, and again, as I'm watching, I'm like, this show is moving. Like we're moving. And even Luke in that moment when he just immediately is like, oh, I'm sorry. Let's try to cool it. I was like, okay, that's realistic too. And that's
good. For
good.
sure.
Yeah. Characters keep showing up, by the way. Ryan, we're talking about Ryan during like every episode.
Yeah.
Without focusing on him. But
yeah.
Characters keep showing up that do the things that people think Ryan is there to do.
Uh-huh.
Donnie, Oliver, Caleb. Who's Julie's sister? No, Kirsten's sister.
Haley.
And Ryan doesn't do anything. Like he doesn't do anything bad.
Yeah.
Well, he does a few things bad, but
a little bit.
Yeah.
But he's involved.
Right. But we keep getting these like glimpses of actual villains.
Yeah.
You know, Ryan is like the bad boy, but he really isn't.
And has to hold the secrets.
Right. Yep.
Yeah. Come back next week. We're going to be discussing Kirsten. Thank you so much for listening to the OC20, a Movie Friends mini-series. If you like what you just heard and are curious about what else we do, visit moviefriendspodcast.com and follow Movie Friends Podcast on all social platforms.